So, hello, it's 1 o'clock, it's Wednesday. I'm your host, Andy Gilbert. So welcome to this live training session. Can you believe that it's actually the 3/4 way mark through this year? 9 months, okay? Only 3 months to go to make a difference. So what are we going to be focused on today? Let's just do a quick poll, because this is a goal defining masterclass today. And what will be really helpful for me is, so I can pitch it at the right level for you, is just to understand your level of expertise and knowledge about the Go.M.A.D methodology. And then we'll see about everybody else. So I'm going to do a first poll. Let me just launch that. And this will allow me to pitch my examples and stories at the right level. So I've got some notes in front of me, but if you've been on one of these before, you'll know that it's not scripted. And today particularly is very, very interactive, because I really want to improve your, not just knowledge, but skills and ability to define goals. So we'll just wait 20 seconds for a few more people to enter. And when 80% of people at least have voted, I'll share the scores with you. Right, so today I'm looking at just 13%, the 12% of people have got no Go.M.A.D experience at all. Let me just end that poll. Okay, so let's just share the results with you here. It's quite conclusive. 76% of people on today have completed at least one day of Go.M.A.D training. Fab, okay? This is going to be a refresher for you, but I'm going to go into it a bit more deeper, particularly on goal defining. About just over a third have read a book, watched a video. Just under a quarter have attended one of my webinars previously. Welcome back. You know what you're in for. We've got several master coaches and facilitators on today. That's great. And a third of people have downloaded the app. I'll give you instructions for that. And by the way, the app is changing next week. Super duper stuff happening there. Let's just stop sharing those results. Okay, and I'm just going to get rid of that. So there will be a second poll we just do in a second to find out what you're most interested in. But for now, let's look at what we're going to be covering, okay? In the next 55 minutes, we are going to be looking at 4 goal defining techniques. I'll be demonstrating, asking for some volunteers to participate, and inviting you to really engage with this. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to look at 7 common mistakes that people make when defining goals, give you some tips around those. And then I've got a really great fun quiz we're going to do to see if we can identify which goal defining technique you should be using in which specific instance or occasion. Then we'll have a question and answer session at the end, and today there will be a prize giving. The more you participate today, the more prizes you stand a chance of winning. I'll explain that as we go through. So let's just, if you are not familiar with this, I should say that Go.M.A.D stands for Go Make a Difference. It's based on a framework of 7 key principles that were researched in 1997 and 1998, okay? So this is well-established methodology that we've been using for over 20 years around the world in over 40 countries. And you'll see there are 7 key principles, but today we are focusing almost exclusively, not quite, but on goal defining. If you don't know where you're going, how will you measure when you get there? So I mentioned that it's about participation. 2 ways to participate today. Controls at the bottom of your screen. If you've got questions about absolutely anything, it could be the subject matter that we're focused on today, goals, anything about the wider Go.M.A.D methodology, please go ahead and put in your questions, and I will do my best to answer as many of those as I can during the session. Okay, any remaining ones, we'll make sure you get an answer after the session. The second thing is to chat. I'm going to pause various times during this session and ask you to interact with me. And you can do that by putting it in the chat box. Now, this is manned by Manisha, who is my right-hand person, socially distanced, about 12 miles away, and she will be interacting with you there. I will not be reading that chat, but I will interact with it several times. So that's it. Any questions you have for me, please put in the Q&A box. Any chat, we'll do that as we go along. So let me ask you, which of these goal defining techniques would you most like to learn about, refresh, or practice today? Okay, 4 different goal defining techniques. We've got SMART, we've got qualitative, we've got visions, we've got umbrellas. We can cover them all. So I've got a limited amount of time, and I just want to see where the energy is on the webinar today to do that. Okay, 2/3, 70% of people have voted. 83, 91% voted. Right, the results are in. Let me just do that. Okay, I'm going to just share that with you. So this is what we're saying today. Quite even between qualitative and umbrella. Actually, it's fairly clear. Right, we won't spend too much time on visioning. I want to give you a load of tips about SMART, qualitative. Right, okay, but we will cover them all. Okay, for the greedy people, fear not, we will cover them all. Right, let's stop sharing those. I'll get rid of the polls. Let's crack on. So, goal defining techniques. There are 4 cards. I have my pack of cards. If you've been on a M.A.D training course recently, well, in the last 3 years or so since we've been doing this, you'll have probably been given a pack of cards. And we will be using these today, particularly the spades. So all the 4 goal defining tools are there: SMART goals, qualitative, vision, and umbrella. What questions do you have about any of these? Now, David Palmer has sent me in a first question, and it says, does this question count? Ha 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 ha. Yes, David, it does count. That means because you've interacted, you're the first person that stands a chance of winning a prize. But more serious questions, please. Please put them in. What questions do you have about SMART goals? What questions about qualitative, visions, or umbrellas? Right, anytime, we'll go. Let's start with SMART goals. This is what they didn't tell you, right? Most people, most organizations, I've worked in about 300 plus organizations around the world. Large organizations use SMART goals. One of the basic mistakes that they make is basically they don't teach people how to do it. That's it. So here we go. I'm going to share with you in 4 cards here, right? Ace, 2, 3, 4 of spades is, firstly, we are going to complete a sentence. And if you look at the 4 of spades there, it says, what is your clearly defined goal in a single sentence? And this is the easiest way to do a SMART goal, right? Start with the date, by X date, and it's got to be a specific calendar date. Imagine you're writing a newspaper headline, and that was the day that you wanted your goal to be achieved, right? What will have been achieved on that date in history? And you write it down, and here's the real clue. You follow it with as measured by, okay? So you've got the measure in there, you've got the specific detail, and you've got the time scale. So SMT, at the moment, this is what I would call a SMUT goal, okay? So here's my first challenge for you, and I did say it was going to be participative. So please, could you in the chat box have a go at writing down a SMART goal, okay? A SMART goal using that structure on the 4 of spades card there. By a specific date, I will have as measured by, you know, and you know this gets you in chance. Participation means prizes, okay? And while you're doing that, I'm just going to answer a question by Siobhan that's come in. How to develop the art of defining a goal within limiting the possibilities. Siobhan, I don't understand the question there, so could you rephrase that question for me? And I promise you that I will answer it later in this session. Within what sort of possibilities are you meaning there? Right, so, right, let's see what we've got coming in. David, you are quick off the mark today, my friend. I will own a blue Ford Focus RS, this is a type of car, on or before the 31st of December 2020, right? Specific, I like the detail. If you said something like as measured by ownership of the logbook, that would be great. Okay, how are we going to measure the ownership? Logbook in your hand, that would be great. Tracy, by Friday the 2nd of October, I will have updated my LinkedIn profile as measured by getting a colleague to check it over. Well, that's good because your colleague is going to be almost like your auditor. But actually, updated, I'm just going to say, what do you mean by updated? That's not specific enough by me, right? LinkedIn profile, you could have put a full stop at the end, right? Does it mean completely rewritten? Just be a bit more specific on that one. Natalie, by the 31st of January 2020, I will have a new antenatal review completed, measured by the implementation to staff. Right, let me help you on this one, Natalie. You've got two things there. And when you put two things into a goal, you've got a new antenatal review. That's one thing completed. That could be a tick. And then you go, as measured by the implementation to staff. How do we measure implementation? The big key to defining SMART goals is to imagine that I'm going to be an auditor, a very friendly auditor, that's going to visit you on whatever day you specify. And if you imagine that I have an imaginary £10,000 that I give to you, as long as I can measure it, you'd make sure it was really specific, wouldn't it? And the tip is I'd give, if you've got more than one goal, separate them out and have two goals. When do you want the review completed, and how will we know that that's been completed? Is it a sign off? Is it a document? Is it an email acknowledgement, right? Is it a report that's been published? And then what do we mean by implementation? Be specific on that so we can measure it. I'll just do a couple more here. Jerry, create a new goal setting training module to be ready to release to the CI community by November the 30th, 2020. I was actually coaching Jerry yesterday. So let me just give you a little clue here. Jerry, I'm going to invite you to consider changing the word setting to the word defining. Sometimes people make the mistake of, if they set goals, mentally they believe that they are therefore set forever, set in stone. Goals can be redefined, and they very often need to be redefined, particularly if the self-belief drops. So I would always say there, create a new goal defining training module to be ready for release. How do we know it's ready for release? What's the measure of readiness there? Okay. Let's see for another one. David, another David. I will have obtained a new job by October the 31st. Which year, David? I'm taking it's this year. As measured by having signed a new contract. Might be next year, I don't know. Having signed a new contract, good measure. But remember that legally, certainly in the UK, where I know you're based, I think an employer has up to 6 weeks to give you the contract, right, to sign. So that might affect that. So Richard, by 1st of October, again, which year, I will have invoiced my first client following the setup of my new business. Okay, that's specific, invoiced, right? We can see the evidence, right? You're getting the hang of this. Wow, brilliant. Right, thank you, Tracy's gone and she's rewriting hers. Right, great. I hope that gives you enough tips. Let me give you another couple more here. I said that was the SMART goal, S, M, and T. But let's look at the A and the R of SMART, okay? A is achievable. So what we're really talking about here is saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, how achievable do I believe my goal to be? Okay. Now, on this self-belief level, self-belief is one of the 7 key principles of the M.A.D thinking framework, the results framework. It's almost like a seesaw. Okay, if you imagine my pencil here, the sharp bit is self-belief. Self-belief is high, seesaw swings, self-belief is low, and self-doubt is high. This is the thoughts in our head, and it's good practice to keep measuring that, particularly the longer and the bigger your goal, okay? I'm pretty sure that you'll appreciate that during this pandemic with COVID, that people's belief has gone down, then it goes up, then it goes down, and people, it's quite natural to have self-belief wobbles. So we need to check the achievability on a regular basis. And the other thing is the word are. Again, a really common mistake, people think that it's unrealistic. But what's the difference between achievable and realistic? It should stand for relevant. It should have a relevance to you on what's important in your life, or if it's a work-related business goal, it must be related to a higher business objective, okay? So that's just little tips on that. Again, whatever question you've got for me, right? Anything to do with SMART, please write them down in the Q&A box, okay? And I will answer those a little bit later this session. I'm going to move on now to visioning. It's sometimes called sensory specific, okay? Let's get my five of spades cards here, okay? What is your clear vision of success? Now, a couple of things to point out here. One is, notice that this is written in present tense, okay? Use your senses to describe this. I am seeing, I am hearing, okay? If you're going to do this, you can do visioning in a whole number of different ways. I like to start it with saying the date is, and I am seeing, I am hearing, I am feeling, I am saying to myself, right? I'm using all my senses and I'm making it a very rich, an enriched experience using my imagination and one of my key thinking components in a helpful way to really create a helpful imagined future. So this is daydreaming. This is daydreaming with your eyes open, okay? If you haven't got a strong enough reason why and can't be bothered, this will be difficult to do, okay? But if you're really bothered and motivated about something, just imagine. Now, everybody has done this at some time in their life, right? Subconsciously, you've just gone, oh, I can imagine a great dinner party. I can imagine a birthday, maybe Christmas Day. I can imagine going on holiday. And you've even gone, oh, yes, the date is, I'm sitting there, I'm lying there, the sun coming down, drink in one hand, my partner of my dreams next to me, my real partner at home. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So, but that's it. The key to having a vision is really getting the juices going. So just think about this. What did Martin Luther King say? I have a dream. He didn't say, I have a SMART goal that is realistic, relevant. Well, he wanted to use realistic, right? He wouldn't have said that. He said, I have a dream that one day. And then he described it. So vision is the big picture, the things that you want, and it should get your juices going. If you're using it on your own, you're saying, I am. If you're doing this in a leadership context, you'll be saying, we are, okay? The date is, and we are. And the most vivid, and by the way, when I'm saying leadership context, I'm not talking about you are the senior leader of an organization. You might well be. I'm talking if you're leading a group of people, a project team. And I remember vividly about 10 years or so ago, I was working in a financial services organization. I'd run a 3-day training program, and one of the participants invited me down the following day to her team meeting that she was running. Her name was Katie. And she did something brilliant in this team meeting. This was a team of administrative staff, okay? And they were processing a lot of data and paper. And she said, right, folks, I've been on this training course and I want Andy just to watch me do a visioning exercise with you. So please, would you all close your eyes? Now, this was about 9:30 on a Friday morning. People aren't used to closing their eyes in a team meeting. So a few people were going like this. Right? Anyway, she got to close her eyes. And then she said, the date is, and she picked a date that was about a month in the future, right? And we are celebrating our success. And she went through to describe about backlogs being cleared, about desks being kind of neat and tidy, about a wall chart showing the percentage improvements that they'd made over the month. And she described it. And then she said, and you are eating your favorite flavor of pizza and drinking the drink of your choice at the end of the day on a Friday. Right, so she did this for about 2 minutes, a bit of a guided visualization. And then she said, right, open your eyes and can you just share with me 2 things? What pizza were you eating and what were you drinking? And she took down a list and she pinned that on the wall. And everybody knew that when that came true, that's what they'd be eating and drinking in a month's time. That is about using a vision to take a group of people with you. So I hope that helps. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because the feedback was that you wanted more on qualitative goals, which I'm going to go on to. But again, if there's questions about this, about how to use visioning in different ways, right, please put them down and I'll answer those at the end. Okay. So let me just go on to the next one. Qualitative goals, the 6 of spades. Qualitative goals is something that I developed many years ago when I was writing this book, Go Mad About Coaching. Okay, and visioning, great, it's been out there for years, right? Smart, great, been out there for years. Both of them are great methodologies that could require improvement. But I realized from my research that probably about 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 goals in the workplace weren't appropriate for those. They were to do with things about team morale or team spirit, feelings and emotions like confidence, particularly around public speaking and meetings, or happiness in the workplace, and relationships between people. Sometimes this is referred to as the soft and fluffy stuff. I don't think it is, but we do need a goal defining technique that works here. And this is something I developed called qualitative goals. So for this, I'm going to ask for a volunteer. And if you would like to volunteer to be coached by me now live, and we'll switch your audio on so everybody can hear us, I'll do that. And I'll go through this with a demonstration with a live person. So if you would like a better relationship with somebody, you would like to feel more confident about something, or you would like team morale or improvement, and you're willing to talk live on this session, please could you just put your name in the chat box now, okay? And while we're waiting for 1 or 2 volunteers to come up on that, I'm just going to read a couple of questions. Thank you for sending the questions in here. Okay. Joanne's come in. Are we supposed to be visible on this Zoom? No, not on this Zoom call. We're not. But I am going to go for a live person once I get a volunteer in. Okay. Graham has put, are visioning goals difficult to agree on when the auditor arrives? Okay, good point. Visioning goals contain many things, okay? And this is about you having a vision, and it can be used to get the encompassing picture, but you would use visioning particularly to get other people to go along with you. Now, the 4th goal defining technique that we're going to use, Graham, is called an umbrella goal. And I'm going to show you how you can take all those bits that are in your vision and put them under an umbrella and chunk them down till eventually they become either SMART or qualitative goals. Okay, so I hope that helps you there, and we'll come back to that. Right. So I still haven't got any volunteers. I know we've got a lot of people on this session today. Justin. Thank you, Justin, for volunteering. Let me just go down there and unmute you, and we will, here we go. I'm going to allow you to talk. Justin, can you unmute yourself, please? Are you there?
I am indeed, Andy. Good to see you.
And you. Thank you very much for volunteering today. What I'm going to do is take everybody else on this session through a best practice in helping you to define a qualitative goal. So I'm going to help you, and I'm also going to talk to everybody else about what we're doing. So firstly, what is it? What type of issue is it that you'd like a goal about? Is it relationships, confidence, feelings, or team morale?
Team morale, probably.
Team morale, okay. And is this a team that you manage or lead?
Manage part of it, and I'm part of it.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at, and this is, I'm talking to everybody here, is in defining a qualitative goal, we need to be specific detail about the situation. So which team are we talking about here, Justin?
Organisation Workforce Development Team within Health and Social Care Trust in Northern Ireland.
Okay, great. So it is a specific team, and are you the manager of that, or are you a participant within that team?
I'm a sub-manager within it. So
Okay.
I think a participant within the team would probably be the best way to look at it.
Okay, so you can influence, right, team morale by being a participant. It is easier to influence, obviously, if you are the manager, but we have that specific team in mind. Great, okay. So what I'm going to ask you now is just to share on the Justin scale of 1 to 10, okay, how would you assess their level of team morale at the moment? 1 is low and 10 is high.
I'd say about 6 to 7,
About 6.
6 or
Okay.
7, yeah.
Okay, well, the most important question is, where do you want it to be on that scale by a specific date?
9 by Christmas.
Right, and is that this Christmas this year?
Very specific, Andy. Very good. Yes, by
I've been doing this goal defining for a while now. Okay, so with Christmas, are we talking Christmas Day by the time we break up for Christmas?
Yeah, by the time we break up. So say the Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve of this year, you want that specific team to have moved from a 6 or 7 to a 9 on your scale.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to part 3, and this is about identifying a relevant benchmark. So I'm going to give you 4 options here. Let's work down them together and tell me which the easiest one is for you. Okay. Have you got a recalled memory of this exact same team ever being a 9 before in team morale?
Yes.
Okay, now is that the exact same team with the same membership, the same people in? Or
no.
Is it, okay, so is it a similar situation then?
Yeah, it's a similar situation.
Right, okay, I just wanted to be clear about that because obviously team memberships can change. Just out of interest, how long ago was that roughly?
6 months.
6 months, okay. And the reason that I asked you that question is if you'd have said 15 years ago, it might have been, we might have looked for another benchmark. So that's one possible benchmark we could use, is to look back 6 months ago and see what that was like, okay? But I'm going to give you the option here, Justin. Would you rather remember what it was like 6 months ago, or is it easier for you to imagine what it will be like on Christmas Eve this year?
Again, another good question. In terms of easier,
Yeah.
I'd say it's easier to rely on the memory than it is on.
Great. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use that. Now, if you'd have said no, or you were struggling, or you've got no memory, or you couldn't imagine, I would have gone to the 4th option, and I would have asked you to identify like a best role model of another team that perhaps you'd seen, maybe even on television or from afar, that secretly you were a bit jealous of, and you wished that, but you knew what a 9 was. I'm not going to use that because we've got an earlier benchmark, okay? And I normally go down them in this order until I find the right one for the person that I'm coaching. So here we go then. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to invite you, Justin, to remember back 6 months ago. This team was similar to the one that is now, perhaps with some slightly different members, and to identify 3 or 4 pieces of evidence that let you know that this team was a 9 in team morale. So just think back, what was that team doing that gave you those pieces of evidence?
We were, well, Sorry, do you want me to think about it, or do you want me to tell you?
Just say out loud 3 or 4 things.
We were meeting more regularly
Yep.
in person, face to face.
Yep.
We were engaging more actively informally as well as formally.
Okay.
Communication, information was shared very, very easily amongst all of us.
Okay.
And everybody was very clear on what our purpose was.
Okay. So we might not be able to do so much about the first one there, especially in a lockdown situation, but let's look at those other ones there. The informality, people being clear and sharing things. Is that what you want now that would be an evidence of a 9? Or is there something more? Okay. Is there, just be very clear. If you were doing those 3 things, is that an evidence of a 9 in team morale on your scale?
Yes.
Okay. And is that what you want for this team by Christmas?
Yes.
Okay, great. So that's your benchmark. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I was offering you the choice notice. Do you want anything else? Do you want to imagine anything else being in place? Because on this one, you are going to have to be your own auditor. So you're really looking out for 3 key pieces of evidence that you will need to notice. Now, remember at the moment, this is only the goal. We haven't gone into the how, and we haven't done any possibility thinking about how to get you there. I'm just checking at the moment, and this is the final point of this, is I'm checking, is that what you want?
Is this what you really want?
Right? Or in the words of the Spice Girls, what you really want.
Really want.
Okay? and that's the why and the what. So when we use the Go-MAD methodology, we're always focused on, tell me what you want, strike clear goal, what you really want, check the reason why. Now what I'm going to invite you to do.
There's no zig-a-zig-a in that, Andy, at all?
No, you can get it, only get it on very rare import labels. So, and actually, I mean, I say this on other things like on my TED talk, is if you remember that bit of Spice Girls and you go, I'll tell you what I want, what I really want, but instead of doing the zig-a-zigger, you go, and then I'll check my self-belief that it's achievable, right? And therefore, so I'm going to ask you a question now on a scale of 1 to 10 of self-belief, right? How achievable do you believe that goal to be by Christmas that the team can get there?
7.
Right now, this is a good lesson for everybody else on the webinar. Do you notice the voice said, 7? Okay, that wasn't a clear 7, was it? Okay.
No, I was going to go for 8.
Okay, well, this is it. It's not an exact science of self-belief, but obviously, as you were going for 8, there were certain hindering thoughts that were perhaps going through your mind. But
absolutely,
in the seesaw example, right, it's looking like that, isn't it? You've got more self-belief than doubt. Now, obviously, it might wobble between now and Christmas. That's fine. But what we would then do if I was carrying on the coaching, which I'm not going to do, is we would be exploring how could you possibly get there? What could you possibly do? What are the possible obstacles that might get in the way? What assumptions, what risks? How could we mitigate those, minimize those, overcome the obstacles? How could you possibly involve the other people, right? And others outside it to help you. Doing that possibility thinking, we can then build a really robust plan of priorities. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's all about sort of identifying your possibilities and planning in your contingencies.
Exactly.
But it's thinking about it systematically. Very good.
Yeah, but let's sort the what and the why first. Okay. Justin, thank you very much for being a volunteer.
Thank you, Andy.
Appreciate that. And that was a great demo. Thank you. Okay. So let's go back. Again, what questions have you got for anything that came out of that in demonstrating a qualitative goal? Okay, please put them in there. Richard has put a question. When would you share your qualitative goal and involve other people within the team? Good question, Richard. Very often, if a team is doing a goal and it's a relationship goal with another team. So for example, I might be working with a finance team and their goal might be to have a better relationship with an operations team. And they might say at the moment, you know what, I think our relationship isn't too good. It might be about a 4 or a 5, but we really want to get to a 7. How could we possibly do that? You do your thinking in a team, but it might be appropriate to share your goal with the operations team and say, guys, we've been thinking about how we want to improve the way that we work together. Okay, and we've got a bit of a vision that by Christmas maybe we could be doing this and supporting you in that way, and you could be doing that. Do you buy into that? So we could work together. So the answer is where you want to get buy-in, and others can then support you collaboratively in moving forward. Okay, so that would be my answer, Richard. I hope that helps you there. Okay, so let us go. Thank you. Keep the questions coming. We've got more there. Right, let us go to our last goal defining technique. This is an umbrella diagram. Umbrellas are really useful when it's a big picture. Okay, so you can start with the I have a dream, I've got this vision of everything that I want to happen, but then what you do is you put a topic title over the top, and then you say, right, and it can be an aspiration. It doesn't have to be a smart goal. It doesn't have to have a date on it. It could be having a great 3 months, or optimizing the last 3 months of 2020. That might be it, okay? So it's an aspiration, okay? It could be my first 100 days in a new role, because you know that there'll be lots of things there. It could be about well, I nearly gave a quiz question away there, right? I couldn't. Right, we'll come back to it. So let me share one with you. Let's suppose that the goal is achieving project X, whatever project X was. Okay, you would start off by asking yourself a question, and the question is this: in order to achieve project X, what do I know definitely that I need to do some thinking about or some work on? And you would just write it. Instead of A, you would say it's blah, blah, blah. Okay, as well as A, what else do I definitely know that I've got to do some work on? So this is where you can start to turn your vision, your dream, into some tangibles. Okay, but again, they don't have to be smart at this stage. You're just labeling them. And so you'd go on, and you might say, right, if I do A plus B plus C, does that mean I'll have achieved project X? And you might go, no, actually, there's not. There's something else. There's D. Okay, if I achieve A and B and C and D, does that mean I'll have achieved project X? No, there's E as well, and so on. My golden rule is here, don't go beyond 7 as a top line. Any more than that, and you can normally put an umbrella over 2 or 3 of them and cluster them together, okay? I have done organizational strategies on a page with no more than 7 wide. They sometimes go very deep, okay? So when you've got your top line and you've done the check, does that plus that plus that plus that equal that? Yes. If you're not sure, by the way, put a question mark on one. You then say, which one of these do I want to start to break down further? It doesn't have to be the first one. It could be whichever one you want to. And so you'd say, right, let's break down chunk A, right? Chunk A, in order to achieve that, what do I need? And again, you can keep doing that until eventually you're going to come to either a SMART goal or a qualitative goal, okay? We might want to improve team morale, we might want to have a better relationship, we might want more confidence, but we actually might want to achieve and deliver this 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and that's where. So this now becomes a relationship diagram. Over the top, you've got your vision, chunk it down from an umbrella until you get your SMART and your qualitative goals. The largest one of these that I've ever done was actually 7 pieces of flip chart paper wide, and we went 6 or 7 levels deep. And that was about building a global engineering function for a major aerospace business. Okay, so it can, and I spent 3 days doing that with a group of 7 people. So they can be really, really big. All right, let's move on. I want to share with you some goal defining mistakes. We've covered some of these already. And I'm going to invite you to think about which of these are you or your colleagues guilty of making. First one, they're too vague or not auditable. So the difference between an aim and a goal you can measure. An aim is just a wish there. They lack an exact calendar date. We've demonstrated that today. Okay, got to have the year, it's no good saying by May, right? Because some people will be expecting it on the 1st of May. You might have thought it's going to be the end or the middle of May. Okay? We've covered this as well, having 2 or more goals in the same sentence. Now, there's a good reason for this, because if you only achieve one of those things that you want to achieve, what most people do is, oh, I haven't achieved my goal, I failed. But if you separate them out, you can have a win for that, I've achieved that, and you feel good. And psychologically, physiologically what happens, neurologically what happens is dopamine gets released. So a good thing about defining goals is if you have lots of short goals, and you might have heard me say in one of my training sessions or videos, the anticipation of a goal releases the happy juice. That's the dopamine, it makes you feel good. In times of change and organizational change at the moment, you might have heard of things like quick wins. It's important to get quick wins. 2 reasons for that. One is it makes people feel good, dopamine gets released, okay? And the second thing is they have a recalled memory and they can remember when they were successful last, okay? Let's have a look at another. Sometimes people waste energy in goals by putting in the why and the how. The how comes later. That's the possibilities and the planning. The why is a separate thing. The goal should only contain the what. Okay? Remember the words of the Spice Girls? Tell me what you want. Don't tell me what you don't want. That's a mistake. I bet you might have even done this to a friend or a partner. You've asked them what they want to do and they say, oh, I don't want to do that. Where do you want to go on holiday? I don't want to go there. Okay. What do you want to eat? Oh, I don't want a certain type of food. Right. So focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. Another mistake, people attempt to smart everything. Okay. Remember, there are 4 types of goal, and we're going to cover in a little quiz shortly about what they are. And the 7th common mistake is that people don't check the self-belief or the reason why. So 7 things there. Remember, when we're talking about self-belief and reason why, we're talking about a triangle. We've got the goal, we've got the reason why, and we've got the self-belief. Check all of those: clarity, confidence, and motivation. Okay, so there's another way of saying it. Then we'll get into what could we possibly do, how could we possibly involve, and apply those possibility thinking techniques. That's for another day. So quick chat with me now. Remember, more participation, more chances of prizes. I'll take a sip of water. Put 1 or 2 numbers down. Which ones are you or colleagues most guilty of making for those 7 mistakes? Tap away. And I'll see what themes we've got. 1, 7, 7, 4, 2, 1, 7, 2, and 6, 3, 14. I think that should be 1 and 4. Joanne's put 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it's good job you're doing number 2 well, Joe. That's great. 7, 6, 6, 4, 3, 4, 1, 1. 1 and 7 seem to be quite popular there, and number 4 and 6 probably the next one. 6 is coming on strong, actually. Yeah, okay, that's the themes that we'll get in there. Let's go to the quiz. Right, pens at the ready. Here we go. We're going to go through 9 things very quickly here. Okay, firstly, I am going to ask you, if you were coaching me or helping me to think about renovating my house, which goal defining technique would you use? Make your choice now. Is it a SMART goal? Is it an umbrella goal? Is it a vision? Or is it qualitative? Okay. So please put, oh great, you're onto it. People are going umbrella, 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 umbrella. You have got it right, absolutely. I will give you visioning though. If I wanted to renovate my house, I might imagine it being renovated, and then turn everything that I could see into an umbrella, which is the start of my project plan there. Okay, so that's great. Let's have a look at the next one. Fingers ready to get tapping. I want to complete a report on time. Okay, what type of goal is that? David H is first up. Smart, 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 smart. You are dead right. We can audit that, can't we? Right? Next one then. And by the way, you don't have to type in smart. If you want to put S or U or V or Q, you can abbreviate. Here we go. I want to get on better with my colleague, Fred, or whoever it is. Yeah, you've got it. It's the quality of relationship, qualitative goal. Okay, next one. I want to improve service to customers. What type of goal is that? S, Q, V, or U. Oh, we've got a right mix here. And I'll tell you the reason why there's a right mix. It's because you've not got enough information at the moment. Okay? Always be confident enough to say, if you're in a meeting or you're helping a colleague or a friend to define a goal, is just say, be a bit more specific. What do you mean by improved service to customers? If I then said, I want to improve customer delivery times, what type of goal is that likely to be? Yep, you got it. Smart, okay? Because we can measure the delivery times. But if I said to you, oh, to be honest, I really just want to look at our whole customer service philosophy and strategy. What type of goal is that likely to be? Yeah, umbrella. It's a big thing, isn't it? Involves more than one thing. Okay, so a little bit of a trick question there, but they are going to get, you know, a little bit trickier. Here we go. I just want to be happier in life. Number 5, what type of goal is that likely to be? It could be a vision, you're right. It could also be a qualitative goal because it's about happiness, okay? So either one of those I'd give you. I would probably go for, you say happier in life. That's a big thing. Which areas of your life would you like to be happy in? That would be an umbrella goal. Or I could say, well, let's start by just picking one area specifically that you'd like to be happier about that. And then we could go into qualitative goal. Next one. I want to decide my next career move, okay? What type of goal is that? I want to decide my next career move. Oh, a bit slower here. I'm not going to read anything out till a few more people have come in. Nobody's got it right so far. Nobody. Oh, here we go. Jerry, you were the first one to get it right, followed by Joanne. Okay, it is a SMART goal. Have a read of that. What is the measurable part of that sentence there? I want to decide my next career move. What will we actually be measuring? No, Mike, it's not the move. No, not the move. Yes, Jimmy, you've got it. It's the decision. We could turn up on a specific date and say, right, Andy, you said you wanted to decide your next career move. Have you made the decision, yes or no? That's it. Classic SMART goal. However, if I'd have just phrased that differently and said, I want to research about my career. Research. Ooh, that could be an umbrella, couldn't it? What sort of things do I want to research? So we have to listen very carefully to the phraseology to give ourselves the clues to decide which of these 4 goal defining techniques are we going to use. Right, here's a nice easy one for you. Number 7, I want to achieve next quarter's target. What is it? Eric, you were first, followed by Pam. Yes, everybody's got it. It's a SMART. Okay, okay, next one. I want to make a direct report more effective in their role. Okay, that's my goal, to make a direct report more effective in their role. What are we getting here? Okay, we're getting Q's and U's, qualitative and umbrella. This is the trick question, folks. I'm sorry, but I had to do it to you. Okay. What is the trick here? Anybody got the trick here? I want to make a direct report more effective in their role. Just think about the implications of that here. Make. Well spotted, Tracy. Think about if you were asking me, okay, I'd said that to you and said, I want to make my colleague more effective in their role. A good challenge to me would be, right then, Andy, what are you going to take personal responsibility for doing? Okay, because I'm not going to do their role for them. So the trick here is to help the person take responsibility for something. So I could say, my goal is to have a one-to-one review with them. My goal is to help them build a development plan. My goal is to give them feedback. Okay, so all of those are within my control and are likely to be a smart goal in response to that. It's the same as saying, I want my daughter to tidy her bedroom, right? Your goal is to influence your daughter to tidy her bedroom and get her buy-in or see some evidence of movement, okay? So watch out for the trick one there. Next one then, last one, I want to make my next presentation to the board, I want to imagine my next presentation to the board going well. What type of goal is that? Big clue in one of the words there. Yeah, you've got it, Martin, Justin, yeah, Richard, yeah, it's a vision. I want to imagine, great, let's imagine it there, okay. So, that was it. Some tricky ones there, some classics, but hopefully that gives you a real insight into goal defining. Right, let's move on. Got 8 minutes to go and I want to answer as many questions as I can. I've got a lot of questions in on this. You know what, I glanced down, I thought, well, I've got 30 questions in here that we're never going to get through those. And then I looked and saw that Natalie and Siobhan have been typing all their answers into the question box. Bless you, no problem. It means I haven't got 30 questions to answer. Let's go through as many of these as we can. Okay, Martin, how do you manage a situation where people believe success is failure plus a good excuse? Okay, I think I get where you're coming from here. Right. If a goal has not been achieved, there will be a reason for it. Okay. Sometimes those reasons could have been planned and predicted. If you'd have done the possibility thinking and thought about obstacles, risks, and assumptions after you defined your goal. So I would use the Go-MAD results framework as a diagnostic tool here, okay? I'd look at that and say, what clues can we get from that that tells us why we did not achieve our goal? Occasionally, things like COVID-19 might happen, a pandemic that nobody could have predicted. And this is why contracts have things like force majeure in them, you know, an act of God or a freak of nature there. So I would say, what excuses are being made and which of those could have been anticipated with better planning and better possibility thinking. I hope that helps you. Graham, visioning goals. Are visioning goals difficult to agree when the auditor arrives? I think we've covered that one in terms of the auditor will audit SMART goals. You have to be your own auditor of the qualitative goals. But if you have an umbrella goal, other people can see and sometimes check off when other people's goals have been achieved as well. Question from Justin, does the we are perspective apply to team building where you might be trying to define a shared purpose? Okay, a couple of things there. One is don't use the T word, Justin, right? Trying means a lack of belief and hindering thoughts. When you are defining a shared purpose, yes, I would use we, right? We or our, okay? Because it's a collective thing that you want people to buy into there, okay? Final question I'm going to answer here, David. Are qualitative goals more subjective to the person setting them? Yes, because you're using their 1 to 10 scale, right? And my 1 to 10 scale might be different to your 1 to 10 scale. What if others in the team want a different goal? would a group goal of achieving a psychologically safe environment be a more beneficial goal for the whole team and drawing up a team agreement? Right, okay. You could have a SMART goal to draw up a team agreement, okay? You could use visioning to think about psychological safety, and you might have an umbrella goal to turn that vision into a series of chunks of SMART goals and actions. I hope that helps you. Okay, right. Let's move on to prize giving. Thank you for your participation. There are some more questions there, and I promise you that if you've asked a question and I haven't answered it, I'll get your personal response by close of play tomorrow. That's my commitment to you. So here we go. Over the last few months, we have been developing behind the scenes and now public a whole range of programs. So I am going to ask you all now to write in a number between 1 and 20. Please type away as fast as you can. The first one that came was Pam. She put number 6. The second one was Tracy, 7. And the third was 18. 6, 7, and 18. Right? Manisha, can you start looking down today's contributions and find person number 6, 7, and 18 and all the prizes? The first prize is going to be this is our best-selling and favorite 4-line digital program called Thinking Bigger, Better and Bolder. All the Go.Mad content there, and you can go through 4 hours of exercise for yourself, and there will be a winner of that. Manisha, if you could put that in the chat, who's won that? The second prize is another 4-hour session, Unleashing Wellbeing. 4-hour digital session, and we'll get a prize winner for that. The third prize winner is going to be a 30-day dash. This is a month program. As it says on the tin, we are going to help you move through 30 days with a 4-hour session and then weekly check-ins. Really popular program for us at the moment. And finally, we have whatever the next one was on the list, Manisha. Where was it? 6, 7, 18, and 19. Whoever was person number 19 will win a 90-day mastery program. Okay, so Manisha, have we got some winners? She's put, we've had 234 entries over this past hour. Right, what have we got? Jamie Kedgley of A.P.D. Communications Limited, you have won the digital program Stretch Thinking Bigger, Better, Bolder. We'll send you that. Phil Yelland, Sheffield City Council, you have won an Unleashing Wellbeing program. Well done. Henry Main of Rolls-Royce, you have won a 30-day dash program. And Manisha has been very kind to Justin for volunteering. This is Manisha's gift to Justin, our volunteer. He also wins a 30-day dash program as well. Oh no, what's she saying, Justin? Sorry, you have won the 90-day mastery. Well done. I honestly don't know whether or not Manisha's giving it you or you were the 19th participant. But anyway, congratulations everybody for that. Really appreciate it. If, by the way, if any of you want a discount place for either the Stretch or the Unleashing Wellbeing, we've also got a career strategies module launching next week. Just put discount in the chat and Manisha will send you a voucher for it. Okay, so that's it for me today. If you could put a final comment in the chat box about the thing that you found most useful, that's great feedback for myself and Manisha. As always, I wish you a very safe journey over the next 3 months, and take care, stay safe, and get absolute clarity about what you want to achieve over the next 3 months. Take care, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.